You might have left me something. And he felt ready to cry. Then put away the game, he said in a shaking voice to Philip, trying not to look at Vasenka, and cover them with some nettles. And you might at least ask for some milk for me. But when he had drunk some milk, he felt ashamed immediately at having shown his annoyance to a stranger, and he began to laugh at his hungry mortification. In the evening they went shooting again, and Veslovsky had several successful shots, and in the night they drove home. Their homeward journey was as lively as their drive out had been. Veslovsky sang songs and related with enjoyment his adventures with the peasants, who had regaled him with vodka, and said to him, "Excuse our homely ways," and his night's adventures with Kiss in the Ring and the servant girl and the peasant, who had asked him was he married, and on learning that he was not, said to him, "Well, mind you don't run after other men's wives, you'd better get one of your own." These words had particularly amused Veslovsky. "Altogether, I've enjoyed our outing awfully." "And you, Levin?" "I have, very much," Levin said quite sincerely. It was particularly delightful to him to have got rid of the hostility he had been feeling towards Vasenka Veslovsky at home, and to feel instead the most friendly disposition to him. Chapter 14. Next day at 10 o'clock Levin, who had already gone his rounds, knocked at the room where Vasenka had been put for the night. Entree Veslovsky called to him. "Excuse me, I've only just finished my ablutions," he said, smiling, standing before him in his underclothes only. "Don't mind me, please." Levin sat down in the window. "Have you slept well?" "Like the dead." "What sort of day is it for shooting?" "What will you take, tea or coffee?" "Neither. I'll wait till lunch." "I'm really ashamed." "I suppose the ladies are down?" "A walk now would be capital." "You show me your horses." After walking about the garden, visiting the stable, and even doing some gymnastic exercises together on the parallel bars, Levin returned to the house with his guest, and went with him into the drawing room. "We had splendid shooting, and so many delightful experiences," said Veslovsky, going up to Kitty, who was sitting at the samovar. "What a pity ladies are cut off from these delights." Well, I suppose he must say something to the lady of the house, Levin said to himself. Again he fancied something in the smile, in the all-conquering air with which their guest addressed Kitty. The princess, sitting on the other side of the table with Marya Vlasyevna and Stepan Arkadyevitch, called Levin to her side, and began to talk to him about moving to Moscow for Kitty's confinement, and getting ready rooms for them. Just as Levin had disliked all the trivial preparations for his wedding, as derogatory to the grandeur of the event, now he felt still more offensive the preparations for the approaching birth, the date of which they reckoned, it seemed, on their fingers. He tried to turn a deaf ear to these discussions of the best patterns of long clothes for the coming baby, tried to turn away and avoid seeing the mysterious, endless strips of knitting, the triangles of linen, and so on, to which Dolly attached special importance. The birth of a son, he was certain it would be a son, which was promised him, but which he still could not believe, and so marvelous it seemed presented itself to his mind, on one hand, as a happiness so immense, and therefore so incredible, on the other, as an event so mysterious, that this assumption of a definite knowledge of what would be, and consequent preparation for it, as for something ordinary that did happen to people, jarred on him as confusing and humiliating. But the princess did not understand his feelings, and put down his reluctance to think and talk about it to carelessness and indifference, and so she gave him no peace. She had commissioned Stepan Arkadyevitch to look at a flat, and now she called Levin up. I know nothing about it, princess. Do as you think fit, he said. You must decide when you will move. I really don't know. I know millions of children are born away from Moscow, and Dr. Sui. But if so? Oh, no. As Kitty wishes. We can't talk to Kitty about it. Do you want me to frighten her? Why, this spring Natalia Golitsina died from having an ignorant doctor. I will do just what you say, he said gloomily. The princess began talking to him, but he did not hear her. Though the conversation with the princess had indeed jarred upon him, he was gloomy, not on account of that conversation, but from what he saw at the samovar. No, it's impossible, he thought, glancing now and then at Vasenka bending over Kitty, telling her something with his charming smile, and at her, flushed and disturbed. There was something not nice in Vasenka's attitude, in his eyes, in his smile. Levin even saw something not nice in Kitty's attitude and look. And again the light died away in his eyes. Again, as before, all of a sudden, without the slightest transition, he felt cast down from a pinnacle of happiness, peace, and dignity, into an abyss of despair, rage, and humiliation. Again everything and everyone had become hateful to him. "You do just as you think best, Princess," he said again, looking round. "Heavy as the cap of Monomac," Stepan Arkadyevitch said playfully, hinting, evidently, not simply at the princess's conversation, but at the cause of Levin's agitation, which he had noticed. "How late you are today, Dolly." Everyone got up to greet Darya Alexandrovna. Vasenka only rose for an instant, and with the lack of courtesy to ladies characteristic of the modern young man, he scarcely bowed, and resumed his conversation again, laughing at something. "I've been worried about Masha,"